Born like this, into this, as the chalk faces smile, as Mrs. Death laughs, as the elevators break, as political landscapes dissolve, as the supermarket bag boy holds a college degree, as the oily fish spit out their oily prey, as the sun is masked. We are born like this, into these carefully mad wars, into the sight of broken factory windows of emptiness, into bars where people no longer speak to each other, into fistfights that end as shootings and knifings, born into this, into hospitals which are so expensive that it's cheaper to die, into lawyers who charge so much it's cheaper to plead guilty, into a country where the jails are full and the madhouses closed, into a place where the masses elevate fools into rich heroes. Born into this, walking and living through this, dying because of this, muted because of this, castrated, debauched, disinherited because of this, fooled by this, used by this, pissed on by this, made crazy and sick by this, made violent, made inhuman by this. The heart is blackened, the fingers reach for the throat, the gun, the knife, the bomb. The fingers reach toward an unresponsive God. The fingers reach for the bottle, the pill, the powder. We are born into this sorrowful deadliness. We are born into a government 60 years in debt that soon will be unable to even pay the interest on that debt. And the banks will burn, money will be useless. There will be open and unpunished murder in the streets. It will be guns and roving mobs. Land will be useless. Food will become a diminishing return. Nuclear power will be taken over by the many. Explosions will continually shake the earth. Radiated robot men will stalk each other. The rich and the chosen will watch from space platforms. Dante's Inferno will be made to look like a children's playground. The sun will not be seen, and it will always be night. Trees will die. All vegetation will die. Radiated men will eat the flesh of radiated men. The sea will be poisoned. The lakes and rivers will vanish. Rain will be the new gold. The rotting bodies of men and animals will stink in the dark wind. The last few survivors will be overtaken by new and hideous diseases, and the space platforms will be destroyed by attrition. The petering out of supplies, the natural effect of general decay, and there will be the most beautiful silence never heard born out of that. The sun still hidden there, awaiting the next chapter. That is Born Into This from Dinosauria We by Charles Bukowski. And I recently rebranded the channel from Existential Delight to my own name, Dylan Gous. And I thought I should probably explain why I did that, because I think I owe it to you guys, especially those of you that have been following my work for a long time. There's many reasons why I decided to do it, but I think the biggest reason is probably that there were a lot of times where I wanted to discuss something that was a little bit more heartbreaking or a little bit more sad or slightly less existentially delightful, perhaps like this poem. And I was beginning to feel that I was being captured by my own audience, by my own brand, where I couldn't really just be myself. I almost always had to be positive about whatever I was talking about. And I know that's definitely not the case, or that's not what everybody who watched the channel expected. But I was beginning to be, I started to begin feeling caved in on the topics that I was allowed to discuss, because I had described the channel as the opposite of an existential crisis. I could never really approach topics that, perhaps made somebody existentially uncomfortable. I always had to focus on the delight of life. But I think sometimes you find the delight of life by exploring the darkness, like this poem, by reflecting on how terrible things could be. It can help you appreciate, like he says at the end of the poem, that, the sun is floating above and it's kind of indifferent to what's going on the earth, and it's just awaiting the next chapter. And even if you don't fully agree with Bukowski, a few of the things he says in this poem, I think there's value in contemplating the terrible things that could happen. So in one way, existential delight didn't really capture my full frame of interests. Another point is just that I should say that I'm still going to continue creating the same kind of content I've always made. I'm just going to branch out a little bit more and not feel so limited. I have a lot of different interests. Not everything I'm going to talk about is necessarily going to be G.K. Chesterton or Catholicism. And I recently interviewed someone, the most recent interview that I put on the channel, we don't talk about Christianity at all, but I had a lovely conversation, and my channel has a cross in the logo, and that's kind of how it's marketed. But I don't really want to be just another Catholic YouTuber. I am Catholic, it's the biggest part of my life, but it's not necessarily, every video doesn't need to be about that. I might want to talk about video games. I might want to analyze a specific song, and I'm obviously going to do it through that lens of who I am. And so I just kept coming to the point where I felt like I was hiding behind a moniker or hiding behind a gimmick. And I was speaking to my wife about it, and she said, because I was trying to think of another name for the channel. I was trying to think of another word or another description that might make the content more it might expand the type of content I could create. And she said very plainly, why do you need a gimmick? Why can't you just name the channel yourself? Why can't you just be you? Why do you need to, have this name or this title? Why does it have to be a project outside of you? Why can't it just be you? And then every video is just what you happen to be learning about right now, what you're interested in. Honestly, when she said that, it was like, yeah, obviously, right? That's what I should do. So it took a little bit of courage. And I know this might sound strange, everything I'm saying, if you're watching, because you might not even care. This might not even be something you think about. You might not even have noticed that the channel's changed. That's fine. But there are people that have been with me since day one, and I felt like I owe it to you guys just to give you some explanation as to why I just suddenly rebranded the channel. So I just think naming it myself also puts me into the public sphere a lot more, and that just, I think, is a good thing, because it forces me to be a little bit more deliberate in the content I create, in the way I talk about things, because it's very much a public image now. But that also introduces a challenge, which is not putting on a persona, not pretending to be somebody I'm not. And I think that's what was happening with Existential Delight, is I felt like I had to put on this image of being a specific person, and I didn't want that to get more intense. Chris Williamson has this great, recently in his newsletter, he talks about audience capture and how you can become captured by your audience to the point where you're not actually showing yourself, you're just being a persona of what you think they want you to be, because you're scared of losing your audience or alienating your audience. But I just want to be myself, and so the natural consequence of that would be to name the channel as myself and to talk to you guys as myself, as Dylan, without anything in between that. So that's why I did it. Also, because of this whole change in branding and everything, I've been putting a lot more effort into the channel, and a lot has been going on behind the scenes, especially in terms of improving the quality, improving the podcast, really treating that as its own special thing that I really want to put effort into, because Existential Delight is still very much here. I'm still going to be having podcasts regularly with interesting guests. I've got some great guests lined up, people I'm very, very excited to talk to, people I never thought I'd be able to talk to, I'd never get the opportunity to speak with. So Existential Delight has not gone anywhere, but it's now the name of the podcast on my channel. It is no longer the full channel. Because of this whole move towards improving the quality and taking this a lot more seriously, I've also opened channel memberships. So I'm going to be creating videos just for members. If you become a member for a monthly fee on YouTube, you can just click the join button. You'll see all the benefits there. But you're basically going to get access to polls that only members can vote on, which is going to kind of guide me in my creative process. Along with that, you're going to get access to all of my videos earlier than everybody else. You're also going to get special videos that only you as a member can get. There's no other way you can get it just by being a member. So I want to kind of open up a way for people to support the channel, but not just by, losing something, but also by gaining something. So that is something that is launched today. So that's open, that's available. So if you do want to support these videos and you enjoy the kind of work I do, the poetry, the readings, the discussions, the podcasts, the interviews, the GK Chesterton synth waves, and all the stuff I do, and much more is coming, much more. This channel is just going to grow. Things are just getting started, I feel. Then please consider becoming a member. And yeah, on that note, guys, I just wanted to just give you an update on the channel and tell you what's going on, and also share this beautiful poem with you. I must say that I did actually find it existentially delightful at the end, because when I read that last line, he talks about the whole world basically fading away into darkness, and then at the end he says the sun is still hidden there awaiting the next chapter. It reminds me of that line in The Lord of the Rings when I think Frodo and Sam are deep in Mordor, and Sam looks up and he sees a light, and he kind of finds comfort in the fact that there's light above all the shadows and all of the darkness, and that light seems to remain untouched. And I got the same feeling when I got to the end of this poem. So even this quite depressing poem can give you something to be glad about. Of course, the joy of Christ, the spiritual gift of hope that you get, there's nothing that can quench that flame of hope. But it is useful to reflect, and sometimes it's useful even to be a little bit sad, because it makes you appreciate what you've got in your life and the good things in your life. But anyway, on that note, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel and a part of this journey I've been on. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. Fellow human being on the opposite end of the screen. Yeah, that sounds so contrived when I say it. But anyway, my name is Dylan. Have a good day. God bless you, and bye.